I'm sure we can all agree in this House. Tisha, the Argini ar Frais recent I cannot know a Hisu, agus Martian Hain Yachar Foil, agus Tasha, Comorin Scale and Eshkol and Oireachtas on Caribbean and Ye Kille, and Ye Chipomlan, a Yanu and the Sprakne of Ilokashi Saku, Ohio Pricene, or Tiha Racing, the price in the racing, or Hia a Hogal. Agus Ken Foy Shin. A generation of workers, Tisha, as you well know, families and young people continue to struggle to put an affordable roof and secure roof over their heads. And under your government, the housing crisis has gone from bad to worse, with sky-high house prices, rip-off rents and a severe shortage of housing stock, again highlighted in research published yesterday by Sherry Fitzgerald Auctioneers. And people who work hard out there, people who have done all the right things to create a good future for themselves and their family, are crying out for affordable homes to rent or to buy. And we've come to the bonkers situation, Tisha, where a couple now must be earning €127,000 a year to be able to afford a new average house in the city of Dublin. But it's not just a problem in this city. In Galway, you must be earning €115,000 a year, and in Cork, it's €104,000 a year. This is just off-the-wall stuff, Tisha. It's totally demoralising for people right across the state. And many who rightly have the aspiration of home ownership are instead forced to remain trapped in private rental market, where they fork out huge amounts of money on rent every single month. So these workers, their families and the young people need real solutions, Tisha. And the best solution is for the government to drive with ambition the delivery of affordable homes to rent and to buy at a level that the scale of the crisis demands of it. However, last week, Minister Darragh O'Brien published the so-called Housing Progress Report. 44 glossy pages, lots of words, lots of numbers, but very little information in relation to the delivery of homes for which the government is directly responsible. Incredibly, Minister O'Brien failed to provide a progress update on the 3,550 genuinely affordable homes to rent or to buy that your government promised to deliver through local authorities and approved housing bodies last year. Not one word in the report about it, complete and utter silence. And you can see why this rings alarm bells, Tisha. Because since you came to office, or since this government came to office, your government has missed its affordable housing targets, not just 1 year, but every single year. For 4 years in a row now, the targets have been missed, and the targets were far, far too low for starters. The lack of pace, the lack of ambition, the lack of urgency to deliver affordable houses has serious consequences for people. Thousands of adults who want to strike out on their own are living at home with their parents. They're in their 30s or in their 40s. And as we know, young people are leaving in their droves for a chance of a better life, flocking to places like Australia. And Tisha, the housing affordability crisis is a real barrier for employers hiring workers, schools hiring teachers, hospitals hiring nurses and doctors. And the government and housing ministers needs to come clean with the people. So the minister's hiding behind the numbers of private homes that developers are building, many of which are totally unaffordable, many of which are still being bought up, snapped up by the vulture funds. But when it comes to own up and tell us in relation to what the government is directly responsible, there is complete silence. So can I ask you, Tisha, and the question is straightforward, will the government meet its target of 3,550 affordable homes that you promised to deliver through affordable housing bodies and local authorities last year, or will last year be like every other year of this government, that you will miss those targets once again?
Thanks, Deputy. I don't have those numbers available yet, but I think they will be available in the next couple of weeks. What I want to acknowledge, Deputy, is that rents are very high for far too many people in this country, and that a lot of people are waiting far too long to be in a position to buy their own home. It is something the government is helping with. Take the rent credit, for example, worth €750 per renter per year this year, €500 last year. A lot of people claiming that, helping them with the rent. And of course, we've the new form of cost rental housing, a form of public housing which allows people to rent at more affordable rates, and that is really taking off now and is proving very popular. And we're going to see a lot more of that being built around the country in the coming years. When it comes to first-time buyers, helping them with schemes that you want to abolish, like Help to Buy, for example, like First Home, and that is making a huge difference. We saw figures out only in the last couple of days which showed that the number of first-time buyers drawing down their first mortgage is at its highest level since 2007. That's an extraordinary change from where we were only a few years ago. In 2007, I was in my 20s. We're actually back to that now. Those are the kind of numbers that we're now seeing people buying their first home, and that is really encouraging. And we've also seen a big uptick in the number of new homes being built. Over 33,000 new homes built last year, and that doesn't include derelict homes brought back into use, doesn't include student accommodation. So we're now seeing numbers that we haven't seen in 15 years in terms of new homes being built, and first-time buyers at a level that I haven't seen since I was in my late 20s, and that's really encouraging. But of course I acknowledge that we're catching up on a period where that wasn't the case, and we have a big deficit yet to close against the backdrop of a rising population. I do need to mention two things you said, Deputy, because I think it's important in this House that we're honest around the issue of housing, and that we're accurate around the issue of housing. This is a sensitive issue. A lot of people are hurting, and they don't need misinformation from the opposition or from any other quarter. You said a couple must be earning €127,000 a year to buy a new house in Dublin. And again, that creates a false impression. First of all, that particular survey which you referred to refers to 3-bedroom homes only. It refers to new homes only. Most first-time buyers don't buy new homes. They buy second-hand homes for the obvious reason that they're less expensive. And many first-time buyers buy 2 beds, not 3 beds. So again, you're picking a particular example with 3 different caveats, and then you're trying to make out that is the case for everyone when you know it's not. That survey also made the assumption that people can only borrow 3.3 times their income. You know that's not the case anymore, and didn't take into account First Home, the government scheme which closes the affordability gap for so many people. And I think you created a false impression there, and you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't have to do that, Deputy, quite frankly. And again, you push this narrative that enormous numbers, huge numbers of young Irish people are leaving Ireland to go overseas because of the housing crisis, and that it's a one-way street. Of course, it's not a one-way street. We know that while 80,000 Irish citizens left Ireland to live abroad for lots of different reasons in the last 3 years, 90,000 came back. And we know that if we look at places like Australia, look at cities like Sydney, look at cities like Melbourne, look at cities like Canberra, the house prices, income to ratios are much the same as they are in Ireland.
Thank you, Taoiseach.
First of all, I did mention that it was new house, and I talked about an average 3-bedroom house, so let's be clear about this here. And I also said that it's unacceptable, because I genuinely believe that it's unacceptable that you have to be earning €127,000 to buy a new average 3-bedroom house in this city. I think it's unacceptable that you have to be earning over €100,000 to buy in Cork, where your minister beside you is sitting. We have an affordability crisis. You didn't mention that the CSO talked last week about the fact that house prices have gone up another 10% in the last 12 months. And that's the reality, that there is a generation, there's a sizable amount of people that feel locked out of the housing market. You may dismiss the fact that 21,000 young people have left to go to Australia last year. That's just one area. They're going to Canada, they're going to London, they're going to elsewhere. And some of them have done what young people have done before them, to go for adventure, to go for experience. But there is a sense that people are locked out, that people have to put their life on hold because of the runaway house prices that your government has overseen. Now, you asked you a simple question, you just bat it off, oh, I don't have that information. This goes to the core of it. What you're responsible in terms of delivery of housing is social affordable homes. You have a target of 3,550 homes to be delivered last year. You produced a 44-page glossy document without a single utterance of whether you have failed to meet that target, the same way you failed to meet the target in every single one of the 3 years preceding it. So, Taoiseach, can I ask you a question? Will you fail again to deliver on your target of affordable homes, just like Darragh O'Brien has done and your government has done in the first 4 years of this you in office?
Taoiseach, please.
Deputy, the statement that you made earlier was not correct because you didn't take account of the First Home scheme. The whole point of the First Home scheme, which the government has established, is to close the affordability gap, where there's a gap between what a house costs to buy, a new house costs to buy, and what a person can get in terms of a mortgage. And if you take into account the First Home scheme, which thousands of people are now using, which you want to abolish, it is possible for people on incomes below €127,000, or couples rather, to buy those homes which you mentioned. And it's actually there. It's even in the survey if you choose to read it. There's little asterisks where it says doesn't take account of the First Home scheme. People are using the First Home Scheme all over the country now to buy new homes, and it's wrong that Sinn Féin, the left, want to abolish that and take that opportunity away for first-time buyers. In terms of our housing targets, Deputy, over 30,000 new homes built last year, the highest in 15 years. First-time buyers, 500 a week drawing down their mortgage, the highest we've seen since I was in my late 20s. That's what we're now seeing in the market. More social housing than any year since the 1970s. We don't have the exact figures yet in cost rental, and affordable we will, but I'm sure it'll be more than it was the previous year.
Thank you.